Guys, I have a very serious question for you. Have any of you all ever seen Kathy Griffin and Pennywise the Clown in the same room together? I don't think you have, because at this point, I'm convinced that they are the same people. Now, obviously, the reason why I said that is because of the newest photos that just came out of our dear friend Kathy Griffin. And I am not just bringing this up to make fun of her and laugh, even though obviously we could very easily do that. But the point here is something that we talk about on this show all the time, and that is the impacts of living a life that is so filled with victimhood and negativity and anger, and we are seeing that personified in Kathy Griffin. This is what Kathy Griffin used to look like, and this is what she looks like now. After years of Trump Derangement Syndrome, of crying on the internet, of screaming about how every single person who disagrees with her is a hateful bigot, this is now what she looks like. And I am saying this in total seriousness. Living a life that is so angry, that lacks joy, that lacks gratitude and hope and humility will literally turn you into Pennywise the Clown. Like, seriously, I don't know whether I should say Pennywise the Clown or Carrot Top, but this is what Trump Derangement Syndrome will do to you. So if you take anything from this episode, just take the first 30 seconds where I say, please God, find some hope, find some gratitude. It will change your life and change your looks. Now, before we get into the rest of the episode, make sure that you are following our podcast page and please rate the show if you are enjoying it. It helps us out so much in the algorithm. And if you want to stay up to date on all things Brett Cooper and what we're doing in future live events, make sure to check out brettcooper.com. Now, guys, I have been so excited about this episode. It really feels like everything is right in the world. I don't have any chaotic Cooper family updates for you because, shockingly, everything is fine. Ruger the dog is fine. All the animals are alive as of right now. My mom is moving into her house. She has slept the last 2 nights for 8.5 hours. I have been sleeping through the night, which at now 8 months pregnant is something that I have not been able to do regularly. So things are going great, and they are going great in the public and in society. It really feels like the world has gotten back on its axis. Lizzo is losing weight and is inadvertently kind of speaking out against the body positivity community. UPenn is apologizing to female athletes over the Lia Thomas controversy that dominated the news space for the last 3 years, and we have a minor Justin Bieber update. Now, this really isn't a Justin Bieber update per se, but it does loop into the story that we have been talking about, and as I have said in previous episodes about our good friend Justin Bieber, there have been a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes with Justin, things that I might not even be able to share, things that he certainly cannot talk about. But now that some things are coming to light, that means that I can comment on it, of course, and that big news is that Scooter Braun has stepped down from his role as CEO of his own company, Hybe America. Now, if you guys have followed the whole Justin Bieber Chronicles, you know that there have been a slew of controversies with Scooter Braun, even just a few weeks ago when Hybe's parent company in Korea got raided by the feds over there. And so there really has just been controversy after controversy after controversy, and I am sure that there is a lot more going on behind the scenes to warrant this. So all of this broke on social media. He's stepping down, and what I want to read you first is what they said about him in the press release, because when any big public figure, a big CEO, steps down, you just know that this type of statement was tailored to perfection. It was written by a PR person. They are making sure that their, T's are crossed, their I's are dotted, and this was certainly done in the statement. So just listen to this. This was the announcement. Scooter Braun is transitioning out of his role as CEO of Hybe America and will become an executive advisor as a director of the board and senior advisor to Hybe chairman CEO, Bang CEO, the company announced today. That was on July 1st. In addition, Braun will be pursuing new ventures outside of Hybe while still being involved with the company. So basically in this statement, based on the way that I am reading it, is that they are just trying to cover him. I am guessing that because he was a founder of Hybe, this is his company, he has some agreement, he is probably a stakeholder in some way. They can't come out and say there have been all of these controversies, nobody likes working with him, allegedly, all of these things, and they do have to kind of preserve his image in a way, so they're kind of giving all of these fluffy titles, like, yes, he'll still definitely be involved in the company as an advisor of a director in some capacity, but he'll be focusing on other new ventures, which we aren't going to tell you about because we don't know what those ventures are. We just know that he is getting the hell out of this company because controversy after controversy after controversy has unfortunately followed this man. And if you are wondering what those are, let me just read from this tweet because this person just summed it up perfectly. Here we go. Here is a list of controversies involving Scooter Braun at Hybe. We waited for this day. Number 1, Mass departure of artists. Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, Demi Lovato, etc. I mean, that would certainly get somebody pushed out of their position. Number 2, alleged internal conflicts with Hybe leadership. Number 3, corporate culture clash between Hybe Korea and Ithaca Holdings. 4, accusations of mismanagement and neglect of artists, allegedly. Number 5, concerns over Hybe's financial investment in Ithaca amid artist exits. 6, criticism over Braun's executive role shift and reduced artist involvement. 7, fan backlash over Hybe association with Braun. That is a huge thing. If the fans are against you, if the people that are supporting these musicians, if the musicians are walking themselves, you have no company. So obviously Hybe was going to have to address that. Rumors of legal disputes and NDA-bound departures. Wow, Justin Bieber much. Yeah, that would certainly shake a company up. Number 9, perceived weakening of Hybe America's influence in the US market. Number 10, public speculation over Braun's long-term role in Hybe post-transition. So all of this to say, I do not think that something like this, based on what we know, based on this perfectly curated public PR statement, I do not think that this was some rosy, happy departure, because this was Scooter Braun's baby. Hybe America was everything to him. It was what he had built. He had all of these incredible artists, and suddenly it was just gone because of all of these controversies. And based on what I know is going on behind the scenes with him and Justin and their legal disputes, which is not alleged, that is literally being written about in the media, I know that things have not been pretty behind the scenes. Now, obviously, these artists are not going to be able to come out and speak about this. They have kind of dropped kernels here and there, but I am sure that they are under NDAs. And obviously, Justin is not going to be able to make any comment about this because he is still embroiled in all of their stuff behind the scenes. But I, of course, because I am not a party involved in this controversy, I can speak on that. So I was very excited to give you guys that update. It feels like a nice little bow on everything that we have talked about with Justin Bieber. But guys, that announcement was not even the thing that I was most excited to talk to you about, because Scooter Braun is not the only controversial figure that is stepping aside this week, because Lia Thomas, none other than Lia Thomas, is being stripped of all UPenn titles. See, I told you guys it is a great week, made even better because this morning I had steak and eggs from my friends over at Good Ranchers. Now guys, by the time this episode ends, another family farm in America will have shut down because the meat in your grocery store isn't coming from them anymore. People are not buying their products. The meat in our grocery stores is coming from overseas, where the safety standards are different, quality is questionable, and truth in labeling is optional. But you won't hear about that in the headlines. You won't see any labels that say raised overseas but packaged here. And yet that is exactly what is happening. Over 85% of grass-fed beef sold in US grocery stores that you and I have been buying is imported, and most shoppers have no idea. And that is why I love Good Ranchers, because Good Ranchers does not just sell meat. They guide you back to the source, to American ranchers, and they support these family farmers every single day. They're bringing us back to real quality and to food that you can actually trust. So whether you are grilling their beef, their chicken, their pork, or their wild-caught salmon, you will taste the American difference. And with summer in full swing, there is nothing better than burgers by the pool, steaks on the grill, or nuggets for an easy meal in between extracurriculars for your kids, and you can get all of that from Good Ranchers. And if you subscribe to any Good Ranchers box today, you will also get your pick of free meat for life. That is free Wagyu burgers, hot dogs, bacon, or chicken wings in every box of your subscription for the lifetime of that subscription. And if you use my exclusive code Brett at checkout, you will get an extra $40 off. So make the switch today and visit goodranchers.com to shop, subscribe, and stand with American ranchers. And remember to use my code Brett to get your free meat for life and that $40 off. So full transparency, I filmed today's episode last Thursday to get it done before the holiday weekend. So I know that this is a bit dated now. I do not need to get into the details about UPenn or about Lia Thomas and what all went on behind the scenes with Trump, because I am sure you have heard that regurgitated a million times over the last couple of weeks. But basically, TLDR, UPenn is where Lia Thomas was a swimmer. They obviously had major Title IX violations because they allowed Lia Thomas to swim on the women's team. They were disputing that and fighting against that with the Trump administration, and they finally came to a resolution that would get rid of their violations if they stripped Lia Thomas of all titles. But this really is my favorite part, and also sent personalized apologies to every young woman who was forced to compete against Lia Thomas, but not only that, who was also forced to be in a locker room with and change next to this biological man. This is a massive, massive, massive win for common sense, for protecting young women, for protecting biology. Like, that's really what it is, like protecting the ability to speak truth and be real about biology and the differences between men and women. And the one thing that I want to say, and you guys have heard me say this a million times over, but this would have not happened without my friend Riley Gaines. And I know that there are many, many people who have spoken out about this issue. Matt Walsh has been speaking about this issue for years at this point. So many other women have spoken out, but Riley Gaines was really unique because she spoke out when nobody else would. When nobody else who was actively in college as a swimmer competing against people like Lia Thomas was willing to step outside of their bubble, to go against their team and speak out. She's one of the bravest individuals I know. She gave up so much. Obviously, she has an amazing career now. She loves what she does. She loves working on all of this policy. She goes on Fox all the time. But there was a time when those opportunities were not out there for her, when she did not know the risk that she was taking by standing up for truth and standing up for her fellow teammates and for the women who would come after her, like her daughter that she's having in just a couple of months. She is an amazing athlete. She is an amazing advocate. She is an amazing friend who I am so lucky to know. But truly, I just want you to say thank you to her because this would not have happened without her. And I'm so glad that she was able to be there and speak on this when all of it happened. And of course, I am so grateful to Trump and his administration for keeping good on his promises to protect us. He has been doing this since the beginning, since he got inaugurated in January. He had 2 executive orders defending women from gender ideology extremism, and then the second one was keeping men out of women's sports. He doubled down on all of this by freezing federal funding to UPenn to force them to come to the table, which of course is a classic Trump art of the deal, but I'm so glad that it worked out. And I also just want to say that to any of the individuals, to the women who spoke out against Riley Gaines, the teammates of Paula Scanlon who said that you are a transphobe and a bigot for, being in What is a Woman and speaking to Matt Walsh, those of you who fought against this, I want you to know that this was still for you. It is still for your daughters and generations to come, even if you were so blinded by the current thing in society and you believed the LGBTQ community when they told you that you had to be in support of this literal insanity, that even though this fight was in spite of you, it still was for you. And if you haven't gotten to this point now and woken up and seen how ridiculous all of this is, I hope that you will someday. I hope that you will look at a daughter that you will have in the next few years and realize how important this is. And I hope that you will at least then look to Riley Gaines and the women like her who fought for this and thank her, because what she did is so vitally important. Lizzo has lost weight and is going against the body positivity community. And genuinely, guys, I am happy for her. And I know that Lizzo has her fair share of controversies. She is not inspired the masses very well, but when somebody is getting their life together, when they are getting healthy and trying to put their life on track, that is something that I will always celebrate, and she is certainly doing that. She even just got put on the cover of Women's Health magazine. Now, I know that that is not some amazing feat, considering that Women's Health and Men's Health have been putting overweight people on their covers for years now, just like Vogue and all of those magazines, but because Lizzo has turned such a corner in her life, this was actually something that I was very excited to see. Now, she actually did this interview for the cover while she was working out with the woman who was interviewing her. And in the interview, she talks about how, for her entire life, she has always been a bigger girl. She was insecure about that until she went to Hollywood, until she became a musician and joined this weird culture, and they started celebrating her for it. Wow, imagine that the body positivity movement is actually encouraging obesity. It's almost like we've been saying that for years. Anyway, this is what was said in the article. After moving to Minneapolis, things changed. Quote, I started my artist journey and I gained confidence from living in a cool city where nobody was really judging me. So I started to explore what it meant to love yourself in a bigger body. As I gained more weight, I gained more confidence because I was being validated as an artist. I mean, guys, no wonder. She was painted as the big girl. It's so cool. Lizzo is this huge fat singer twerking on stage. That's so amazing. She's such an icon. That literally became her brand. I mean, no wonder her confidence skyrocketed because audiences and labels and all these people were cheering on her own health demise. They were literally cheering on her obesity because they had turned it into a brand. All of these people spent years telling her that she was so amazing and so beautiful, that she was actually the epitome of health and that she just needed to love her body. And so obviously at some point, she internalized all of that and she started flipping it back out on the fans and saying, yes, I'm going to sing about being a bigger girl. I'm going to tell you all just to be fat and love yourself and it's all going to be great. You should just love yourself. And those of us who called out the fact that this was so unhealthy and so ridiculous and that she obviously was not the embodiment of a healthy individual, We were called hateful. We were called bullies for pointing out the simple fact that it was not and never will be healthy to be clinically obese. And now, after all of these years, she is finally admitting that she also knew that it was not unhealthy. Her body was literally telling her. The article goes on and says that Lizzo was battling ongoing radiating back pain as well, a result of damaged discs due to pressure caused by her weight she hadn't been concerned with losing because she was proud of her size. So because of outside pressure and all of the fans and her branding and the body positivity movement, she was literally ignoring her body that was screaming at her, that was begging her, like, please, we cannot handle this. This is not healthy. And finally, over the last couple of years, after she kind of had to retreat from the public life due to all of her controversies, which we have talked about at length in other episodes, she finally decided to make a change, which she has sort of been documenting on social media for the last year or so. And now, shockingly, her back pain is gone. She's lost a ton of weight, she is working out, she's eating healthy, she feels great, and genuinely, she looks great. And she allegedly did all of this with just diet and exercise. My manager now wanted me all to tell you guys that she thinks that Lizzo is full of crap, that this had to be Ozempic, but she is saying that this was all just exercise. The article says the fight that she's referring to is the fight to love her body now that it has changed. And that really is the sad part. And this is something that we have talked about a lot as well, because when a larger person loses weight, the body positivity movement does not continue being positive about your body, because it was never about just loving the skin that you're in. It was about glorifying obesity. And so when singers like Lizzo or influencers like Remy Bader, who I've talked about, decide to lose weight, they literally are scared to show their fans. They're scared to say it, because then article on article comes out and says, you've turned your back on the fat community. She's actually fat phobic now because she wanted to lose the weight. I mean, guys, it is basically like a cult. That in and of itself is unhealthy, and that is what Lizzo has been facing over the last couple of months. Anyway, going on, they also say, lately she's been fielding comments from fans like, how dare you lose weight? There you go. Are you taking Ozempic? What happened when you said that it's all okay to be fat? And a more existential question at the heart of it all, is Lizzo still 100% that bitch? Like, guys, her entire brand, her entire career and business was built on the fact that she was an obese woman and that she loved that and would twerk on stage, and everybody loved that she was like the fat girl. And now that she has reclaimed her body, that she has reclaimed her health, people are turning on her. And again, that just shows you how toxic the body positivity movement is, because the fact is, obesity is the second leading cause of preventable death in the United States, next only to abortion. And that is why I need to talk to you about my friends over at Preborn. Now, guys, I have said this before and I will keep saying it. I am not just pro-birth, I am pro-life. And that means standing with moms before their baby is born and after. And that is exactly why I support Preborn. Preborn is an organization doing what so many won't. They don't just help women choose life, they make living it possible. Because women with unexpected pregnancies are in real crisis. And Preborn gives them free ultrasounds, helps get them everything they need before they welcome their baby. They walk with them for the long haul with practical help, even financial support for up to 2 years after birth. That is not just talk. That is Christ-centered compassion in action. And here's the part where you can step in. $28. That is it. That is what it takes to give a mom a free life-saving ultrasound. Just one, and it doubles the chance that she will choose life for her baby. So don't just wear the label pro-life, live it with Preborn. Help save a baby, help support a mom in need. Just go to preborn.com/Brett, or you can call 855-601-2229. Again, you can go to preborn.com/Brett, only $28 to help save a life. Now, guys, I know we've been talking about Lizzo, and if Lizzo knows what's good for her and her health, she will start buying masa chips. Because masa chips are made the way food should be made, with just 3 ingredients: organic nixtamalized corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. And masa doesn't just avoid the bad ingredients, they actually make their products taste incredible, better than the competitors. Masa chips have the perfect crunch, a rich, satisfying flavor, and they taste the way a tortilla chip was meant to taste. And on top of that, they won't make you join the body positivity community. So just go to masachips.com/Brett and use code Brett for 25% off your first order. Again, that is masachips.com/Brett for 25% off your first order. But getting back to Lizzo, getting back to the body positivity movement, I kind of want to, scope out a little bit more, because what is going on with her and what is going on with this whole body positivity movement is not isolated to just them. Like, this is something that we talk about constantly. This type of toxic cult behavior is pervasive everywhere, especially on the left. Like, just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the LGBTQ community and how they responded to all of these women deciding that actually we don't want to date women, we just want to date men, and we fall in love with men. And the comments were filled with vitriol and anger and like, you're ruining this for lesbians. How dare you? You told us that you were an icon of the gay community at 16 years old and we believed you. You have to be a lesbian. You're ruining it for us. Like, that is genuinely how they feel. They talk a big game about tolerance and inclusion and like love who you love and whatever until you step out of line. This also perfectly coincides with what we were talking about with Usha Vance last week compared to Michelle Obama, where it's like feminism should be about allowing a woman to make whatever choice she wants to make, to have freedom, to have equality in this world, to have the freedom to change her mind like Usha Vance did. Usha used to be a Democrat. She used to be a progressive attorney. Now she's a Republican who was married to a Republican vice president of the United States. She is allowed to change her mind. She is allowed to step away from her job and support her husband. But because she does not conform to the box of what the left believes an immigrant woman, a woman of color, a progressive lawyer should be and should believe, they turn on her. When they could be championing the fact that, hey, it's her life. She can believe whatever she wants to believe. It's great that she had the opportunity to do any of this, to even have opinions and get educated in the first place. It is so hypocritical. None of these movements are actually about finding joy or finding fulfillment or being accepting of anybody. They are accepting of you if you fit into their boxes and you never step outside of that. And the reason why is because it's all about validation. They don't want Lizzo to lose weight because her being obese gives them the permission to be overweight, to be fat, to say, oh, actually, I am beautiful. Me getting McDonald's 24/7, not working out, not taking care of my health is actually empowerment. It is actually healthy because Lizzo told me so. Because obviously she is the beacon of body positivity. And again, this is so pervasive. They will tear you down to make themselves feel better about their choices and their lifestyle when they are as miserable as Kathy Griffin, when that is the type of life that they are leading. Like, no wonder her hairline is receding. No wonder she looks like Pennywise the clown. No wonder these people are sitting around just being fat and trying to pretend like they're happy about it. Like, this is their entire life. You should be like Lizzo, I can't believe I'm saying that, and reject that and realize that this is literally a mind virus that so many people are living under. And honestly, guys, you know I try to stay hopeful. You know I try to stay positive about all of this, but sometimes I look at society, I look at the way that these mobs turn on each other and eat their own. I feel like I'm just gonna throw it all away and lose all hope. And then I see a glimmer of positivity, like a few people waking up in the comment section of insane posts, and something like that happened this week. And that all surrounds Lily Allen and what she had to say about how many abortions she has had in her life. Now, if you didn't know, Lily Allen is a well-known English singer. I think that she really peaked in the early 2000s. Most recently, she has been in the press because she and her husband, David Harbour, who is one of the stars of Stranger Things, just broke up. They were married for a while, but they are now divorcing. So she has been kind of on this PR tour. She's been doing some interviews. She's reclaiming herself as this divorced woman. And in fact, she even started her own podcast. And in a recent episode, she and her co-host had to say this about their abortions. Take a listen.
Abortions. I've had a few,
Right.
But then again, I can't remember exactly how many.
What, really?
Yeah.
Why didn't this come up in last week's episode where we were just talking about abortions?
Because I was just letting you run with it.
Reveal everything.
I can't remember. Yeah, I think maybe I want to say 5, 4 or 5.
Yeah, I've had about 5 too. Lily, I'm so happy I can say that and you can say it and no one came to shoot us down.
Oh, wow. I'm so empowered because we just get to say that we've killed 5 babies. I mean, guys, she's literally bragging about the fact, she's acting coy over the fact that she can't remember how many abortions she's had. It's just like a silly little thing. Guys, what happened to safe, legal, and rare? Did we forget about the rare part? This is what people mean by the slippery slope. If you give them an inch, they will take a mile. It has happened time and time again. That is a hard lesson to learn. It was something that I've had to learn over the past couple of years when I've just been like, no, live and let live. And then I see what happens when you let people live and let live. And then it's things like this, where it's not just that they are able to have 5 abortions, but it's the fact that they feel so confident about it that they can sit on their own podcast and giggle about it and be like, oh, isn't this so amazing that we get to talk about this? No, it's not. This is deranged behavior. Seriously, do you not feel the weight of that? Do you not feel the weight of your decisions and the fact that you have ended 5 lives? The fact that you avoided personal responsibility 5 times for your own convenience, because 99% of abortions happen because of convenience as another form of birth control. I was talking about this with my producer before we sat down. I was like, there are so many ways to prevent pregnancy, especially in the year 2025. It is shocking. Like, we should not even need abortion for convenience or just for birth control because of everything else out there. I mean, guys, condoms, they are free. You can literally go anywhere and get them. You can download the Natural Cycles app and literally take your temperature and track your cycle. You can take the pill. You can get an IUD if you want. There are so many options. So many of them are free, and they do not include ending a life. What they do require is you being responsible, is you considering the fact that you are engaging in something where the consequence, where the natural result is the potential of creating a human living life. But really, that is the crux of the issue, because they don't want to take responsibility in the first place. Not now, before they sleep around, not after the fact, not years later after they've had 5 abortions. Obviously, they don't want to take responsibility because they're sitting on their podcast giggling about it. This is insane. And I'm sure you're thinking back to what I said 5 minutes ago, where I was like, there is something that gave me hope. It's Lily Allen. This is not what gave me hope. It is the response to her saying this, because even pro-choice people in her comment section were like, okay, like, this is too far. Like, this is not what we were fighting for. Like, this is too much. Like, somebody said, I am pro-choice and all for body sovereignty, but this is so gross. Abortion should not be the go-to for birth control. Like, that should not be a controversial statement. And yet in 2025, unfortunately, it is. Another person said, so you want to live a carefree life? Great, do as you please. But there isn't anything wrong with sterilizing yourself while doing so. Yeah, if you know that you don't want to have kids, if you want to be able to sleep around with whoever you want, tie your tubes. Like, seriously, guys, get a vasectomy, whatever it is, it's your life. There's so many other things you can do that do not include killing an unborn child. Another person said, it is not supposed to be birth control. She is what is wrong with the world. Again, it's not safe, legal, and rare anymore. It is legal, and let me do whatever I want, and if you criticize me, then you're a bigot, and you hate women, and you're an arm of the patriarchy. Like, that is what we have gotten to. And really, when I get so amped up about abortion, it is because of things like this, because of how far it has gone, because of the utter lack of care, because of the utter lack of empathy and personal responsibility, the basic personal responsibility that people lack. It is asinine. And if you take a look at that, I feel like you can understand why our political system has gotten to be the way that it is, why so many people move to the left, and why so many people hate Donald Trump and hate the fact that he encourages personal responsibility. And I really feel like this is at the core of what is going on in our socio-political world right now. Because this complete lack of personal responsibility, this desire to live a carefree life with no consequences, the ability to just put the blame on everybody else, that is what these, I'm sorry to say it, rabid pro-choicers are fighting for. And you see this all across our political system with issues that do not even involve abortion. But the point here is, I am so glad that these are the types of comments that were underneath this video, because what Lily Allen and her co-host were trying to achieve here is getting validation and affirmation that their 5 abortions, their 10 abortions between the 2 of them are actually okay. That it's totally fine. Everything they've done is totally permissible. It's actually empowering. They want that validation. It's just like all of Lizzo's fans turned haters wanted her to be fat so that she would validate their unhealthy life choices. And I genuinely hope that at some point in some place or time, Lily realizes the significant, dire error of her ways, just like Lizzo did. I think that we all have the capacity for change. I think we all have the ability to take personal responsibility and turn our lives around. And I hope that she does, because seriously, going down this path, believing that delusion that everything you've done is totally fine, is totally permissible, is empowering, is healthy, that is not a good way to live your life.